Hey guys, welcome to Tea with Jen, and let me tell you, the story that we're going to be talking about today has a lot of tea. So I have my mug ready, and I had to put it in a Stranger Things mug because the story I'm going to tell you guys is very strange and creepy, but very interesting at the same time. So the story is The Yellow Wallpaper, and it is written by Charlotte Gilman, and it's written in the Victorian era. And as we know from reading Jane Eyre and White Sargasso Sea, women didn't really have a say in anything that they did. And honey, if you got married, you probably had to say bye-bye to your moolah, your property, and anything else that you pretty much owned that your husband could take. So, as we learn in White Sargasso Sea, her husband, Mr. Rochester, puts Bertha away because he declares her crazy, and he's like, nobody needs to see you and needs to find out the truth, which, thank goodness, is written in White Sargasso Sea, because in Jane Eyre, she's brought out to be crazy and just all types of cuckoo for coconuts. So, in The Yellow Wallpaper, Charlotte Gilman writes about a woman who is declared to be crazy by her husband, who, convenient for her, is a physician. And not only is he a physician, but he's also very highly respected. So not only does he declare her to have nervous depression, but her brother is also a physician who is highly respected. He also declares her to have a nervous depression disease. So in this story, her husband declares that she's crazy and that she needs to be away from everybody and everything. So he buys her this really, really big house, right? And it's pretty isolated, very far from the village, and very far from any roads that there could possibly be. So, she's like, boo, how did you buy this house? Like, my man don't got this money, T. And she starts questioning everything. She's like, how did we buy this house? Like, where did the money come from? And why has nobody lived here for such a long time? So she starts creating conclusions that this house is probably haunted, which, to be honest, I would have too. I would have been like, nobody's lived here? Did somebody die here? I would be questioning everything. So, of course, her husband is like, you're crazy. So, no, this house is not haunted. Stop talking about it. Let's move on. So, he decides that he's going to not allow her to work, and she's not really allowed to do anything. So she writes in her journal, but she's really not allowed to do this. So she hides her journal, and that's where we get told this story. So pretty much she feels that she wants to work. Like, she's like, let me go make my money. Like, let me leave and make my money. Because she feels that her husband's not really allowing her to get better, and he's not allowing her sickness to kind of get put away. He makes her take pills, and he really tells her to, be alone, take some oxygen in. So he makes her take phosphates and tonics and, just chill out and not do anything. But she feels that if she could work and go out and do things and interact with people, that maybe she would be distracted from this illness and she could possibly get better, And he kind of prohibits her from talking about this disease, and he claims that if she talks about it, she's going to get really sad, which, hello, of course, if you're bald and you're upset about being bald, then if somebody keeps telling you, like, hey, you're bald, you're gonna be like, yeah, I know. And you're gonna be really upset because, hello, who wouldn't be? So, pretty much her husband tells her, you know what, we're gonna stick you in this room, and this is where you're gonna spend most of your time. And he doesn't really allow her to have a say in anything. So she wanted a room downstairs where she could see beautiful setting. She had view to the garden and stuff like that, but he was like, no, there's no room for two beds, and it only has one window. We're not gonna fit in here, so no. So of course, her not being able to say anything, she thinks that everything that he does is so romantic. False. Anti. No, it's not. He just thinks you're crazy, honey. So pretty much what happens is that they get a room upstairs that's kind of close to the room that contains the yellow wallpaper. So I know you guys are probably like, girl, this is not creepy or strange or nothing at all. So this room that contains the yellow wallpaper has really creepy wallpaper, according to her. It kind of makes her have goosebumps, and it irks her nerves. She doesn't feel comfortable in this room, but her husband dictates her to pretty much stay in this room and to just chill out in there. So she starts going crazy in this room because she starts seeing crazy patterns, and she's a person who really analyzes things. So the first time that she went into that room, she realized that it had probably been a nursery and then a gym and maybe even an office. But whoever was staying in that room was probably crazier than her, because the wallpaper was ripped off and there had been like claw marks on the floor, and there was holes in the wall where chains belonged. That's strange and very creepy. And I wouldn't want to stay in a room that looks like it's part of an insane asylum. So, you know, she must do whatever her lovey-dovey husband tells her to do. So she pretty much stays in that room, and she starts losing her mind. And although she's writing in her journal, which she's not supposed to do, she becomes really good at hiding it whenever John comes in. So pretty much she's writing and she's telling us that in her childhood, she was pretty much nervous all the time, and she analyzed things a lot, and she was just creeped out by a lot of things. So she starts staying in this room, and she starts seeing women coming out of this wallpaper. That's very strange, and that's really creepy. So she starts tearing the wallpaper and tearing and tearing and tearing. So she starts going crazy, like actually crazy. And she pretty much destroys the wall, and any wallpaper that's left is pretty much ugly and broken and probably anywhere where she could not reach. So she starts confessing that there's women that are trying to come out, and that they're kind of like in a jail cell, if you were to say, and nobody really knows what's going through her head, because she tries to keep this inside of her so that John won't continue thinking that she's crazy, and will allow her to kind of, you know, do things and not be isolated from the whole world. So when John pretty much walks into this room, he faints, because he's like, my wife is crazy. But in my opinion, and my tea about this story, is that he was the one who made her crazy, because she was just nervous, you know? She had a little bit of anxiety, but she wanted to work. She wanted to be out there. She wanted to do things. And her husband was like, no, you're not going to do that, honey. And you're going to stay in this room, and you're pretty much just going to, I don't know, think, I guess. Like, what kind of BS is that? I would go crazy if I had to be in a room that was ugly, 1, 2, creeped me out, and 3, I had no isolation, that I had isolation, and that I wasn't even allowed to be with other people. I don't think so. So, to make this story shorter, when she describes this room, you get the chills, because she starts seeing how this room, pretty much like the women in the room speak to her, and she feels as if like she had to protect them and get them out of there, and you're just like, girl, what? You better get out of that room. So long story short, this story kind of relates to almost any story that's in the Victorian era, because women don't really have a say. So convenient for her, like I said, her husband's a doctor, so she can't really say anything that's contrary to what her husband says. And same as White Sargasso Sea, Bertha was not really allowed to say anything, which, by the way, her real name was Antoinette, and she wasn't even allowed to tell people that that was her real name, because her husband just had a say in everything. And in Jane Eyre, although she goes through hardships and overcomes them, she's had to deal with his crazy wife that she didn't even know he was married. So men are crazy in this era, and girls who will later become to women, don't get married, because you'll become crazy, you'll get locked up in a room, and you'll probably get told that you're not really worth anything, because all they want is your money. So thank you for sitting in on Tea with Jen. I hope you enjoyed the story and the tea that I had to spill on this story. It's actually really interesting. So yeah, thank you guys.